Hello everyone, I hope you're all well. I haven't filmed a video in months, but this is a state of emergency because I went to Bath and bought a lot of Jane Austen things and I've been desperate to share them with you. This is truly one of the moments where I love the booktube community. So I've been sitting here today with all my things and I'm like, I know who will want to see this. Like, booktube wants to see this, or at least I hope you want to see it. And if you remember last time this happened, I bought a bonnet. I haven't quite got to that level again, even though I do genuinely love my bonnet, and I have read, in fact I did end last year by reading Sanditon wearing a bonnet, and it was a great life choice. I didn't go quite that far this time, but I definitely bought things that I know I just kind of want to share with you. So this is this video, but I will be sharing some beautiful pictures of Bath, or videos of Bath as normal, because that's kind of my MO at this point. But I hope you enjoy seeing what I got and just talking a little bit about Jane Austen, which is always one of my favourite things to do with you. As I mentioned, when I went to Chawton, I really treated myself, and one of the things I bought was the entire collection of Jane Austen's main novels in the Penguin Clothbound Classics editions. But I also picked up Sanditon. This edition of Sanditon includes Lady Susan, which I've read quite a few times, the Sanditon and the Watsons, which I've never read. Mainly because both Sanditon and the Watsons are unfinished. And Sanditon is the novel that Jane Austen was working on when she was very ill and then obviously subsequently died. And because of that, because they were unfinished, I never really felt like I wanted to read them, just because of how I know Jane Austen edited so much of her work and spent a lot of time with her novels. I didn't really want to touch something that I feel like Jane wouldn't have wanted me to read. But then I was kind of thinking of it and I was like, I'm never going to get another novel. Like, this is it. I just need to kind of enjoy it. And I read Sanditon and the Watsons as kind of my last read of 2023. I always stress about what the last book of the year is going to be in the first book of the year, and it felt only right to end it with Jane Austen. And I would love to hear if you have read the Sanditon or the Watsons, or even Lady Susan, because I really loved Sanditon. I enjoyed the Watsons, and when I put a picture about this on my Instagram, everybody seemed to be, like, their favourite seemed to be the Watsons, and I guess they're kind of compared to each other just because they're unfinished, but I was so invested in Sanditon, and I am kind of sad that I don't get to kind of spend more time with those characters, but I am going to watch the TV series because I've been putting that off because I hadn't read it, so I'd love to know what you thought about it. But anyway, this is how I ended the year, and then also kind of made me think I need to spend a bit more time with Jane Austen in 2024. Last year I basically reread most of her novels, but I want to do it again in 2024. So with that in mind, I started 2024 by reading Jane Austen at Home by Lucy Worsley, which is also something I bought when I was at Chawton. And as soon as I started reading this, I was like, I need to go to Bath. Like, I need to kind of go to a place that Jane Austen spent time in, and also has kind of become synonymous with Jane Austen, also the Regency era and the Georgians, which is just something I'm really passionate about. And so I'm currently reading this. I haven't yet finished it, but I'm really enjoying it. But this is kind of the book that then led me to book our trip to Bath. And in fact, that isn't true. There is another major factor as to why I decided to go on a little kind of short weekend trip to Bath. I've just noticed I've been calling Bath, Bath, and I feel like this is like such an English thing, and it's definitely just my accent and where I'm from as to why I call Bath, Bath, but I do it interchangeably, and when I think about the city of Bath, I think of Bath, but then I just kind of end up calling it Bath, so apologies if I go from Bath to Bath and back again and again throughout this video, because it will annoy me in the editing, so I'm going to say it now, so I'm going to prepare you in case it also annoys you. Not that a trip to Bath ever needs explaining, but we are leaving London this year to move up north, and to get to Bath from, I've done it already, I hate how interchangeable the pronunciations are for me, to get to Bath from up north is like 4 hours in comparison to like an hour and a half from London, so wanting to get lots of trips in. Reading Northanger Abbey again made me realise I want to go to, and also Persuasion, and also Jane Austen and Bath in itself is a really interesting kind of subject to talk about, with her opinions on Bath and also why she lived in Bath and why she went there is quite a complicated and complex thing, I think, for Jane Austen, and I think it's really interesting to have a city that is so based on Jane Austen, even though some of her opinions weren't great about Bath. I think mainly because of the situation she was in at the time. For Christmas I decided to order Ben some new tea because he's obsessed with a tea from Sally Lunn's, which is an eatery in Bath. It's really famous for its it's buns, and he loves this tea so much, and I ordered it online, and his favourite one is the house blend. And as I ordered it, I was like, the cost of me buying the tea and ordering it myself is basically half the price of a ticket, so why don't we just go to Bath? And because it is really cold and rainy, obviously in England at the moment because it's winter, everything's kind of relatively cheap to go to kind of touristy places, and so we just decided to go to Bath. And we've had a bit of a weird time because we're obviously in the process of moving and selling, and the whole thing has been a bit stressful, and I ended up being ill across all of kind of Christmas and New Year. And so what better way to spend our time than taking the waters in Bath? Like, it's perfect. I mean, I was very much prepared, you know, kind of to just go and sit and relax for a bit, and that is the reason we have gone to Bath. I don't know why I'm explaining this trip so much, so I'll show you what I bought, and we'll start with Sally Lunn's. So as I said, one of the reasons I wanted to go there was Sally Lunn's. Now, Sally Lunn's is obviously a touristy thing to do in Bath, but I cannot recommend it enough. We purposely stayed overnight so we could go and get breakfast there in the morning. One thing I would recommend for Sally Lunn's is to get there early if you're going to go for breakfast, to get there at opening time. Ben and I decided to get up kind of early to go and see sunrise around Bath and just see the city when it's kind of empty, because it was a Saturday and therefore it gets busy quite quickly. And so we kind of had the city to ourselves for just a good couple of hours walking around, and then we went to Sally Lunn's for breakfast. And the whole thing with Sally Lunn's, in fact, there's a really brilliant quote from Jane Austen about how she was going to like disorder her stomach with Bath buns, but Sally Lunn's obviously famous for her buns, and they're basically this kind of mix between like a brioche, and if you either get like a top or bottom. And Ben had a English breakfast on this Bath bun, and I had chocolate butter. The last time I went, and I do have a full video of just clips of Bath if this me talking is not your thing. Last time I had cinnamon, this time I had chocolate butter, and it is gorgeous. It's almost a bit too much for me, so I wish the butter's on the side, so next time I'm going to do that. But Ben still says that this was the best English breakfast he's actually ever had, and we always, you know, get kind of like nice breakfast whenever we go anywhere, because it's kind of our preferred thing to do, and it was so lovely. We also then got a bun taker home, because it's really nice after having a full day out and then getting the train home to be able to come home and then just have a Sally Lunn bun. So I would recommend getting one to take away. I know you're thinking, thank God she's finally hauling something, but when we were there I bought two new things of tea. So I got the Bath blend and the Jane Austen blend, because Ben and I'm a bit of a tea snob. I feel like tea is something I'm very passionate about, and I love having lots of different tea to try. And they're both really lovely, and they don't, to my knowledge, serve them at Sally Lunn's. The tea they serve there is the house blend, which is Ben's favourite tea. And what's really interesting about the Sally Lunn's is that the tea is just so much finer, so it brews quicker, and it's just so lovely. I think after trying both of these, I think my favourite is still the house blend, but also these boxes. I mean, such a lovely gift if you were like buying sweet things at home. So in a very kind of Georgian Regency way, we started our kind of trip with tea. Now we move on to the Jane Austen Centre, which is the Jane Austen Museum in Bath, where most of the damage was done. But we didn't actually go in the museum this time, because the last two times we went there, but I kind of regret it just because there's a little dress up bit at the end. And Ben and I have a picture of us when we were just, I think, newly engaged, and then another picture of us kind of newly married, or like, I think it's like our 1 year anniversary of marriage or something. I say that as if we've been married for a long time. We're only approaching our 2 years, so it hasn't been long. But we have these really lovely pictures of us dressing up, and you can see how like we've aged. So I kind of wish we had done that, but we might do it again at like another, I don't know, big occasion or something. I realise there's a lot of explaining in this video, but please bear with me. I hope you're enjoying the chat along the way. Last time we had like a mini afternoon tea, and we really liked it because it was just kind of low-key, really lovely. It was really quiet. It was just very kind of peaceful, and so I decided this time to book a big afternoon tea, which was the Mr. Darcy afternoon tea, and it was just really nice. It was the kind of, even the room itself was kind of empty, to be honest, and that was like perfect, because sometimes when I've been to afternoon tea, there's so many people that it just feels weirdly overwhelming, and I think that is probably just because I have anxiety and don't like necessarily busy places, but it was just really nice, and the food was lovely, and we ended up kind of carrying our leftovers around and had them in various places where we went to in Bath. And we kind of, like, the day after we went to Prior Park, and we ended up having like the cakes sitting in this kind of beautiful park in Bath, and yeah, it was just perfect, but it was really lovely. I also really liked the fact that there are so many clips and pictures that I took of Ben where there's a painting of Colin Firth, obviously dressed as Mr. Darcy from the 1995 adaptation, which is my favourite adaptation. We can fight in the comments. But there's so many pictures where, or videos where I've like taken one of Ben, and even naturally I'm just casually panning over to Mr. Darcy. But yeah, it was really lovely. So after our afternoon tea, we went down to the shop and bought quite a few little things. The first of which were some decorations. I've got quite a few to show you, but decorations by St. Nicholas. And if you don't already know, I actually collect these particular decorations because we've never had a Christmas tree in all the years we've been together, and I one day would love to have a tree decorated with really beautiful ornaments that represent places that we've been, but also yeah, just like lovely moments and things we remember. So the first ones I picked up were this lovely teapot and little cup of tea. I then of course picked up a little Jane Austen, which I actually regret not picking up when I was at Chawton, and I've thought about her ever since, so I'm really glad that I could pick a little Jane up here. And I had a lovely time just walking her around the Crescent and various things, and it looked like she was also on holiday. Enjoying herself for once, I feel. Then in the shop they have all of the heroes and heroines of Jane Austen novels in these St. Nicholas decorations, which I love, and I kind of want to collect them all. And Ben was testing me by picking up random kind of like the models and asking me which character it was, and I was like getting very passionate about the fact that I was getting it right, even though some of them were pretty obvious, like there's literally a captain there, and obviously it's Captain Wentworth. But anyway, I decided to pick up Lizzie and Darcy because Pride and Prejudice is the novel that Ben and I we read it together, and Ben also really likes Pride and Prejudice, and there's a lot of discussions we have in our household that Ben is reminiscent of Mr. Darcy. There are also a lot of kind of dialogues, which I think I've mentioned before, about Mr. Darcy being neurodivergent, which I feel like Ben kind of relates to. But yeah, we picked Lizzie and Darcy so they can be together on the tree. Because it was obviously such a short trip, I had all of our stuff with us, and so when we went to Prior Park, and obviously there was a lake there, I had to get Mr. Darcy out and recreate the lake scene. The last thing I bought at the Jane Austen Centre is this really beautiful print of Jane Austen surrounded by all her novels, and it's by the Marches Studio, and I just think it's really, really pretty. And I don't think I have any prints that are like linked to Jane Austen at all. But when I move, I'm going to have like a little an office, like a little study. And so I'm hoping to put it up there when we finally, fingers crossed, get there. Just to go back to the St. Nicholas decoration, I also picked up a really lovely one of Bath Abbey from the Bath Abbey gift shop, and there is a confession to go alongside this one. So the last time Ben and I went to Bath, we were not aware that you had to pay to get into Bath Abbey. And so we went into the gift shop because I am very much I'm a gift shop first kind of person. I like to go to the gift shop, see what I can buy, do the thing, have time to think about it, and then go in and purchase. Like I do not need to wait for a gift shop. So we went in the gift shop first, and then it was just open. We hadn't looked at Bath Abbey, we just kind of wandered in, and the doors were open from the gift shop into the Abbey, and there were no signs this time, and so we just kind of wandered in, and then we were going, wow, gosh, this is really beautiful, and then looked to the side and realised that there was people queuing and what looked like a desk, and then we really suddenly realised that we should have paid, and we were so mortified, we just kind of like, I mean, I am one of those people that really doesn't like being told off. I live in fear of being told off and getting things wrong, and so I was just like genuinely thinking I was going to be sent to prison, and we just kind of left. But for years we were like, do we have to pay? Like, we never really looked it up. We were like, is it, sure it's free? And I think partly that's because most churches and abbeys, I feel like you don't have to pay. But then I guess the big ones like the York Minster, you do. But yeah, anyway, so we got it wrong. So this time we felt like we owed Bath Abbey some of our money. And so I paid for a little decoration, and that is my confession, and I would never be able to step foot in there without feeling like I am a thief. But yeah, we picked this up to remember one of the traumatic times we've had together as a couple. Now on to the last bit of the haul, but arguably the best bit, which is the books. And it's also kind of one of the reasons we love Bath so much, is just because of the bookshops. There are so many lovely ones, from Persephone to Mr. B's, and we have to say that Toppings, the Toppings & Co. Bath bookshop, is one of, I think, Ben and I's favourite bookshop we've actually ever been to. It's our favourite Toppings that we've been to so far as well, but we just really love it. And so the majority of these purchases were made at Toppings. I think 2 of them were made at Waterstones, because I have Waterstones gift vouchers, and I think once being a Waterstones bookseller, I will always love Waterstones. So a few of them from there, most of them are from Toppings. I'll start off with books by Jane Austen, go to books inspired by Jane Austen, and then go to some history books at the end. So first up we have some of Jane Austen's juvenilia, and part of my thing for 2024 is to read things by Jane Austen which are not her major novels. So her juvenilia, and even though these are just small pieces of it, I do want to kind of get a bigger section, and also her letters. In terms of the juvenilia, I picked up this little Penguin Black classic because I really like these, and this is The Beautiful Cassandra, and includes stories such as Jack and Alice, Henry and Eliza, From a Young Lady in Distressed Circumstances to a Friend, so some epistolary, I can never say that word, I think I got it right first time, epistolary pieces, which is obviously very, 18th century, very of Jane Austen's time, and I'm really excited because I haven't read any of her juvenilia, so apart, well, that's a lie because the next books I have read, but yeah, I haven't read any of her short stories. I also picked up a bit of her juvenilia that I have read, which is The History of England by Partial, Prejudice and Ignorant Historian, which is just so brilliant, and obviously includes kind of little illustrations by Cassandra as well. And if you haven't read this and you are a history nerd like me, please do, because it is really funny. And in fact, like all of kind of Jane Austen's work, I always think Jane Austen is I know that we know her as being funny, but I actually think she's really still underrated by just how funny Jane Austen is, and I think you can definitely see some of her kind of wicked sense of humour from the juvenilia. So I'm excited to read this and then also go back to this, and I decided to get this edition just because it was really beautiful, but the one I have that I bought, I think potentially even the last time I went to Bath, is a really small one. I bought it at the Jane Austen Centre, and I kind of wanted a bigger one because I feel like the little one is going to get lost somewhere, so now I have this edition as well. I then picked up Jane Austen's Selected Letters by Oxford World Classics. I kind of regret not getting a bigger kind of lot of her letters, but I thought this was a nice place to start because I've actually never sat down and read all of her letters. I've only ever read them when I've been writing essays and I've been particularly looking for things, and she's often quoted in different sources and stuff, so I've never sat down and read them, and I'm really excited to read this because it links perfectly kind of thematically with the next book I bought. This is Miss Austen by Jill Hornby, which I feel like lots of people have really loved, but I'm yet to read. This has been kind of inspired by the decision of Cassandra, because it's about Cassandra, about the fact that she obviously destroyed so many of Jane Austen's letters, and that has kind of infuriated kind of scholars for years, and also has just puzzled people, and I think keeps Jane Austen the kind of enigma in a weird way that she still is for so many of us. And this is a novel about that, but also about Cassandra and obviously her very close relationship with her sister Jane. I bought this because there's going to be an adaptation of this later on this year, and I always, with books that aren't classics, I always feel like I need to read the book first, because if I watch a TV series or a film first, I just will never end up reading the book for whatever strange reason. So I will be reading this year, but I am interested to hear if any of you have read it and if you enjoyed it, because I've heard like a lot of lovely things about it. I actually did go and see Jill Hornby talk about this with John Mullen, but the only thing I can remember from that talk is that I asked a question and I made John Mullen laugh, which is one of my one of the highlights of my entire life. In fact, it may go on my gravestone. But yeah, I've had a few kind of ups and downs, but I would be interested in what you think of it, because I feel like I so many of you know my tastes. I mean, I'm still going to read it, but yeah, it'd be great to have a discussion about this one. Now on to history books, and two really exciting books, and because both of these were on my most anticipated kind of paperback releases list, and I've been really looking forward to reading them. And the first one is Gentlemen of Uncertain Fortune by Rory Moore, How Younger Sons Made Their Way in Jane Austen's England. This is a social history of the Georgian period, looking at the lives and profession of younger sons. And why I'm so fascinated by this is because I just don't tend to read about younger sons. I feel like it's because so much of history has been about men that I have had a tendency to read the experience of women. And when I have read about men, it has been the heirs. Either they are the ones at the very top, or they've kind of gone off and done something completely scandalous, which, I mean, you can be at the top and also be scandalous, but I just haven't read about the younger sons, so I'm really looking forward to reading this. And I'm also excited because Rory Moore has a book out in February, I believe, or in the beginning of 2024 at least, about kind of love and marriage in Jane Austen's England. So I know that if I love this, I mean, I've already pre-ordered the other book anyway because it's right up my street, but yeah, I'm really excited. The next book has been called A Vivid Compendium of Georgian Life, and it is The Georgians by Penelope J. Caulfield. And again, it's been one of my most anticipated. I love the Georgian era. It's one of the periods in history I'm just completely geeky about, and will read anything, everything about it. But this has been so well received and so recommended to me lots of times. It covers lots of different elements of Georgian life, this kind of weird spectrum of things, of what it meant to be Georgian, what this era was, this insane time of change. And I just love books like this because it means I can sit and be completely geeky and be just guided by an author and a historian who just knows exactly what they're doing, and I'm just going to sit back and enjoy the ride and learn even more about this amazing, completely insane era. The last thing I nearly forgot to show you, because it was a direct result after buying so many things, and it was this Pride and Prejudice tote bag. If any of you have watched the haul I did when we came back from Chawton, I bought this design as a mug, and when I found that we were in need of a bag, I will always buy a tote bag. I have too many, but I love them. I mean, I work in publishing. If there's ever an opportunity to have a tote bag, I'm going to get a tote bag. So they're all the Jane Austen related things I bought on our trip to Bath. I hope you enjoyed this video and having a bit of a chat. I will be back soon with more videos, but I just knew that so many of you would also geek out about this kind of stuff as well. And I'll now leave you to watch a few clips of Bath and yeah, just spend some time in this really beautiful city, because when we were there, we were suddenly like, can we move to Bath? Like, can we change all our plans and move here? Both Ben and I had Bath Spa down as our second university choice, and we were kind of thinking when we were there, like, what would have happened if we'd have both moved to Bath instead? Would we be moving back to Bath rather than York? I'll leave you to enjoy the clips of Bath, but if you're here with me now and want to leave an emoji, which I love when we do this, please leave me an emoji of a bath, which makes sense because Bath, I'm struggling with Bath and Bath today, so let's do leave me a bath emoji. it's me again at the actual end of this video. I just wanted to say thank you so much for watching and staying into the end. Your support really means a lot, and I really like making these videos, and I love when I get to take my camera around and just go to really lovely places and share them with you, so it really means a lot that you're still here. So yeah, I just wanted to say that, and I will see you very soon in another video. Bye!